Greetings, I'm Solidus-Skully. Ooh, a Sega logo. That can only mean one thing. The secret of the shinobi. What is it? Well, maybe this text crawl will tell us, but yeah, this is Secret of the Shinobi, aka Shadow Dancer, which is simultaneously a bit of a confusing title, but also a relevant one, because this is actually a sequel to a Sega arcade game that was later ported to the Master System, that was eventually given, I believe, another arcade port, and then later ported to the Mega Drive. Yeah, it's important to remember that Sega does have its roots as an arcade company, but yeah, despite the title of the video throwing you off, this is Shadow Dancer for the Sega Mega Drive. A sequel to the Master System original / arcade original, and yeah, this pretty much continues on the story of Shinobi, aka, well, I mean, in this variant it's a little bit up in the air, but we'll get to protagonist choppers a little bit later, but in the meantime, this is Hayate Musashi, son of series regular protagonist Joe Musashi, and he is the Shadow Dancer. Oh yes, kickin' theme song, and yeah, bit of a contrast between this and Final Fantasy II, because I figured after, you know, the very Brogdonakian and complex RPG systems, we could use something a little bit more arcadey and fun, albeit slightly more difficult, but that's neither here nor there in this case. In any case though, what exactly is Shadow Dancer and what do we do? Well, I mean, apart from having our dog companion Yamato, yeah, we're pretty much launching shurikens, using our sword to slash enemies down, and yeah, going about rescuing hostages. Again, if that plot could pretty much tell you anything, well, that was kind of the breaks really, because considering Japan and America often had two very different plots, yeah, here's the skinny, really. Basically, this is Hayate Musashi, son of Joe Musashi, whose whereabouts are unknown in this case. But anyway, after the events of, well, the original Shadow Dancer and the defeat of Neo Zed, yeah, basically, ninjas running amok, everything in New York City is pretty much going to hell in a handbasket, and Hayate is pretty much tasked with, well, rescuing hostages in New York City, and taking out Union Lizard, a new enemy that's pretty much risen to power in 1997. So yeah, that's pretty much all the story you're really getting at this stage. Again, you might be thinking, why isn't Shinobi in rural Japan or whatever, but no, it actually takes place relatively close to present-day-ish, kind of the future compared to when this game came out in 1990. But yeah, in any case, so, again, Shinobi, and by extension, well, I suppose, you know, Shadow Dancer itself, is very much an arcade-style, well, that's kind of the thing, really. It's not really a beat-em-up, it's more, I'd say, kind of like a methodical, I mean, it's not really a platformer, it's really more like a methodical action game, really, if that makes any sense. I mean, again, you're playing as a ninja, but by that same token, you know, you're not like a complete powerhouse badass or anything. You are very much just, well, a ninja, and you need to rely on, you know, instincts, you know, your ninjutsu, and, well, some trickery in order to outwit your foes, because, yeah, you might be thinking that you might be able to tank any hits that come your way, but as you're going to be seeing right here, yeah, you're a one-hit point wonder, and, yeah, let's just say it's rather easy to die. You're not exactly an invincible tank here, so Hayate pretty much needs to rely on, well, yeah, adept planning, adept dodging, and, yeah. I mean, to kind of clear up a few misconceptions here, yeah, being a ninja isn't exactly all about, you know, being stylish, looking cool, and showing off. It's really more about being one with the shadows, being practical, and, well, to kind of coin a phrase here, basically being like the, you know, ancient feudal Japan equivalent of, well, being James Bond, really. Except less James Bond in the sense of, you know, suave one-liners, sexy cars, and sexy dames. It's more in the sign of, you know, being a spy. More in the vein of, you know, the inspiration of James Bond, I'd say. The Christopher Lee, John Pertwee, aspects of Ian Fleming himself, that kind of thing, really. Espionage is the name of the game, but, yeah, this is our first boss. Since you are a one-hit point wonder, you pretty much need to avoid pretty much anything coming your way, learn the attack patterns, and if you don't, well, you're pretty much gonna die. But luckily, you have ninjutsu to help you out by pressing the A button on the Mega Drive controller, and yeah, that can really help you out in a pinch. But, that being said, as you're seeing right here, again, if you use your ninjutsu, well, you're not getting those extra points. Of course, you could choose not to give a shit about any of that, and, yeah, that's a decent way to play the game. I won't hold it against you. But yeah, to kind of offset some of the difficulty that comes with, you know, Hayate being a one-hit point wonder, it does come how easy it is to accumulate lives throughout the bonus game. Particularly by utilizing a trick that I'm using right here by sticking to one side of the building where the ninjas are pretty much jumping to and fro, and yeah, you can pretty much guarantee to get all 50 of them. Except for in this one run where I end up getting 49 out of 50 ninjas. The more ninjas you get, the more extra lives you get, and yeah, you pretty much get 3 lives per maximum capita, but alas, I only got 49, and got a 2-up. Yes, Ultimate Ninja I am not, until Sega Master System game I beat. But yeah, that's pretty much the skinny on, yeah, Shadow Dancer really. Again, as you might have noticed in the options menu, there are 2 modes in which you can play the game. You know, you can either have shurikens to your person, or you can just pretty much have Hayate end up using his sword. I'm going with shurikens because, quite frankly, in this game you'll need all the help you can get. And, yeah, it kind of does pay dividends to, you know, plan your routes carefully, and, yeah, if there is anything I can say about the game, don't bum rush, because you are liable to not just get pipped by ninjas who'll just sort of teleport in, you know, utilizing their stealth skills, but also by, well, yeah, shit like that. Again, you might think that you'll get the drop on an enemy, but yeah, that can be kind of crafty bastards, so yeah. It is well worth sort of studying your enemy's patterns. It's, if I can kind of compare it to anything really, it's, you know, to at least games that I think people are more used to. It's basically Sega's answer to Ninja Gaiden, I believe, depending on which one came first. I want to say Shinobi, but don't quote me on that. But I mean, either way, it does sort of function on similar principles of Ninja Gaiden, where a lot of things are very pattern-based, and yeah, you will need to learn your moveset in order to, you know, make the most out of how you play through these games, so yeah, I mean, particularly with those little discus throwers, do be careful, but otherwise, yeah, it's really just more a matter of, you know, knowing what sort of enemies you're going to be coming up against, and, you know, to the enemy's credit, they do have, you know, their own specific enemy dynamics that you can eventually get the tell and, you know, eventually get down pat on how to deal with them. It's just that, yeah, when things get overwhelming, which they will, yeah, that's usually when things start to get a bit tough. Yeah, particularly with those, well, military officer dudes who have pistols. Ah yes, the ninja's ultimate fear. A gun! Oh, they never had to deal with this back in ancient Japan. But yes, indeedy, with careful planning, and indeed, well, a bit of a mechanic that I don't make use of as much as I otherwise should, is the fact that you can actually use Yamato to pretty much sick him on enemies. Although, that being said though, he does have a habit of getting himself killed, so yeah, until you rescue civilians, you're not really going to be getting him back, so whoop-de-doodle. Oh no, I've been shot. So, yeah, I guess part of the reason why Hayate isn't really wearing much of any ninja armor, or at least I suppose anything thick enough to stop a bullet, is because, well, ninja training, I suppose. Oh, I mean, then again, I mean, to kind of go into a bit of backstory here, Hayate is meant to be like, I want to say like half American, so, I mean, compared to Joe Musashi, his father who's full Japanese, he should at least be used to, you know, America, what with its, you know, gun-totaling populace with its yeehaws and cowboy hats. In any case, so to kind of talk about the hostages that you have to save, yeah, I mean, if you want to beat the level, you gotta save all the hostages. But something I didn't actually notice on the first playthrough is that a lot of the hostages actually provide certain benefits. For example, saving female hostages will actually power up your ninjutsu attacks, so, yeah. Again, if you want to buff up your attacks, save female hostages. If you want to save, you know, the male hostages, they also have the chance of, well, dropping an extra life. Which you'll need. Provided that you don't do very well in the bonus stages, but, yeah, I mean, there are benefits to saving the hostages as well as, also providing a bit of a checkpoint where if you happen to lose Yamato when you sick him on an enemy, yeah, saving hostages pretty much brings them right back into the fray, so, yeah. But I mean, either way though, like, I mean, to kind of play a little bit more fair in terms of how Shadow Dancer is, I mean, yeah, when it gets hairy in moments like that, it is difficult, and to be honest, I can't tell whether it's just like my Devil May Cry instincts kicking in, where, like, oh no, you use an item, you're penalized for doing so because you suck. Well, I mean, the game does kind of penalize you with points anyway, really, but not really through ranking, but yeah, you kind of don't want to use your ninjutsu because you want to prove that you can beat the game at its own merits and become an ultimate ninja. But, yeah, by that same token though, the ninjutsu is really handy in circumstances such as that, and well, I mean, yes indeed, also sticking Yamato on him is quite beneficial, but that's pretty much all she wrote in that matter. But yeah, you don't need to defeat all the ninjas in order to progress. You pretty much just need to save hostages and make your way to the end of the screen. You only really need to defeat the other ninjas if you just want to build up your score threshold and, well, I don't know, brag to your friends at school like, oh my god, I got the high score in the Shadow Dancer, rush at me, nerds. And then you're getting beaten up and taking your lunch money, because this is the late 80s, early 90s, bitch. Nobody fucking likes nerds. But yeah, I believe, yeah, some of the enemies kind of abstract, and I also believe that this is the titular enemy referred to as the Shadow Dancer. I think might have been one of the bosses of the original, eventually delegated to just a bog-standing goon, I think? That's just based on something I read, though. I haven't actually played, you know, the Master System version of Shadow Dancer, so can't really say for certain. But in any case, though, as we continue to jump off a building, because Hayate can't take life anymore, what with this economy. But yeah, these are pretty much bonus rounds in between to pretty much allow you to accumulate lives, and again, you do have 3 continues to pretty much keep you in the fray, so I mean, you do have, you know, pretty much a max of 5 lives per, you know, typical play session, so yeah, it's not exactly a completely unfair game, but it's also just really fucking hard by stipulation of its, you know, it's a 1 hit point death kind of thing. I mean, other games in the series, such as, you know, Secret of Shinobi and, you know, Shinobi 3, they do give, you know, Joe Musashi a bit of a health bar compared to his son Hayate, so there are some fair aspects to the gameplay in other games in the series, it's just that this one works more under the arcade mentality. And I mean, again, if you know what you're doing and you are careful enough, you can beat this game, you know, fairly quickly. It's just that, you know, you gotta make sure not to bum rush like you know, just going out of style. There we go, and once again, another bit of a saving grace to, you know, Shadow Dancer's gameplay style is that you don't have to worry about, you know, accidentally killing hostages with your shuriken or your sword, because honestly, that would be an absolutely fucking bullshit stipulation on having to be careful, because, I don't know, never liked it when games did that. It just seems like an unnecessary penalty, and, you know, you're already working your ass trying to save people, like, you don't want to fucking worry about, like, you know, accidentally injuring them, or having to console them, or, like, give them blankets and therapy, and, you know, all of that real-world shit that, you know, that, well, you know, you would have to deal with, but in computer game land, you don't want to deal with. And Jesus Christ, I swear to God, like, you jump right over it, but oh no, it barely skims his fucking toe, and all of a sudden Hayate's like, oh no, I can't do this. I bring shame to my family, my land of America and Japan, which, to be honest, I think there's probably a bit more of a cultural taboo about, you know, I'm not really too sure about what's the nicest way to put it, but basically people of, you know, 2 different mixed races in Japan, really. Well, I mean, to be completely honest, though, I mean, not to go too far into the racial topic, kind of tends to happen kind of everywhere, typically, and when it comes to, like, I don't know. I guess to put it bluntly, you might have cultural roots in certain countries in the world, but yeah, to both homelands in terms of racial purity, you're a stranger. At least in some aspects. I'm gonna hope that isn't completely the case, but then again, this prejudiced world we live in, you can never be truly certain. In any case, though, heavy topics aside, this is the Statue of Liberty that we're climbing up. I wonder if we'll meet JC Denton, Unatco, I don't know, what's his face? Deus Ex reference? Whoopee. But yeah, putting all that aside though, wondering why there is all this scaffolding around here? They're doing some maintenance on the statue itself. I don't know. It never really seemed like you could really go up and, you know, see the statue this up close, but then again, computer game. I suppose it has liberty to do a thing, and yes indeedy, like all arcade games of the era, elevator level, which is kind of boring to be perfectly honest, and it's really just more of an excuse to throw ninjas left, right, and center at you. So now it's time for some trivia. This game was actually banned in Germany due to its violent content. Yes, you heard me right, you know, I mean, it wasn't something that, you know, would have been culturally kind of sensitive, like in the case of Wolfenstein and its Nazi paraphernalia, nor the fact that it would have been, you know, ultra-hyper-violence, like, you know, in the case of like Silent Hill Homecoming or, you know, the original Doom. No, instead it's because, yeah, apparently this was too much for the German audience in 1990. But anyway, something kind of interesting is that as a result of this, it was also banned on the Ultimate Mega Drive collection, and quite a few Sega Mega Drive collections up until about 2018 with its, you know, release on the Sega Mega Drive Classics, which released in 2018, so... yeah, PAL audiences didn't really get to play this game for a long time, unless of course they either chose to emulate with a bit of Yarahara Fiddle-Dee-Dee, because German censors thought they couldn't handle violence on this level. Ultra stylized and weird as it is. Oh no. But yeah, that's pretty much all she wrote in this aspect. I mean, again, it's kind of odd, but I mean, then again, this also was very much during the days when, I don't know, like, old people were, like, really sort of, like, hyped up and like, oh no, video games cause violence and that sort of thing. I don't really know what to say. I mean, it's just sort of an excuse kind of thing, is that, well, let's see, this is new media and we need something to complain about. Now that we can no longer complain about violent television, heavy metal and the rap music, whatevers. So, boss number 3, the Kunoichi. There is actually an interesting strategy that you can actually use to defeat this boss rather easily, or so I've read up anyway. I never actually tested it for myself, so it might be worth experimenting for a future playthrough, but yeah, Hayate can actually crouch in this game, and again, if you get closer towards the Kunoichi, yeah, she actually ends up jumping away from you, and if you pretty much sort of force her backwards further and further on towards a ledge, yeah, there is actually a chance that she'll actually jump off and pretty much fall to her death. So, yeah, that's potentially a bit of an easy way, but again, since we're trying to play this legit and we're pretty much going to be doing this the hard way, yeah, the Kunoichi is, well, I wouldn't say the hitbox is as small as I was initially going to critique, at least before this current playthrough that you're seeing right now, but, yeah, I mean, she is, she does have a lot of protection, what with her, you know, Fuma shurikens, you know, she's sort of throwing towards you, so you do at least have a small window to hit her, but by that same token, though, yeah, you just need to be a wee bit careful. Her pattern is predictable, which is a bit of a saving grace, but by that same token, though, like, again, you know, one careless move, or again, if you happen to bump into her and she knocks you over in a bit of a stun state, like what you're seeing right now, yeah, basically, Hayate is chopped up into bitcharoni. But yeah, you pretty much need to sort of fire your shurikens off when you're in a bit of a downward trajectory kind of arc, and that's pretty much the only way you're going to be hitting her, unless of course you have some ninjutsu handy, which we've already used, so yeah, we're pretty much sort of relying on downward momentum to be our savior, while Lady Liberty watches us free her. Ah, yes indeedy, Hayate Musashi, half man, half American, saving the world, as was intended. Oh, liberty of the icing. In any case, I am Solidus-Skully, keeping new metal, and next time on the Shadow Dancer commentary, well, you get to see the rest of the game that you can't play from the main menu. Catch you next time.